It's a secret from Dad. During the funeral of my beloved sister, a letter was handed to me by my 6-year-old niece. Inside, it said, "Run away right now." Half in doubt, I tightly held my niece's hand. Just at that moment when I was about to take her out, all the relatives around stood up simultaneously. In the blink of an eye, both my niece and I were blocked by them. Then, my brother-in-law slowly approached. What will happen to my niece and me? Please, witness the unfolding turmoil to the end. I am Serena Smith, a 28-year-old single company employee. Both my parents have passed away, and my only sister is already married, so I live alone. I have a boyfriend who is 2 years older than me and we've been dating for 3 years, but I am hesitant about marriage. The reason being that my closest married relative, my sister, did not seem happy at all. My sister Janet, 3 years older, who has been married for about 8 years, and her husband Ashton. My elegant and beautiful sister succumbed to my brother-in-law's fervent pursuit and married him. When I was first introduced to Ashton, my sister seemed very happy, and above all, my brother-in-law seemed completely enamored with her. The way they seemed to care for each other made it apparent, and I couldn't help but smile. And so, my sister and brother-in-law got married safely. Ashton's family comes from a lineage of doctors, and he himself is also an elite physician. Financially, there were no worries, and my sister, at the request of my brother-in-law, became a full-time housewife. However, the seemingly smooth sailing of her married life began to change from the time their daughter Lisa was born, who is now 6 years old. Immediately after my niece was born, my brother-in-law and his family, who were hoping for a successor, apparently openly expressed their disappointment, saying, "Oh, a girl." Furthermore, there were no words of encouragement for my sister. Once again, my mother-in-law said, "Is there no second child yet? I'm counting on a boy this time." After that, the pressure from her in-laws and the surroundings to have a successor became intense, and my sister began to lose her energy due to that stress. I was worried about her, so I kept in touch frequently, and when I heard that she wasn't feeling well, I would go to places with her to relax. But even such efforts were in vain, and even after 3 years since Lisa was born, my sister was not blessed with another child. One day, my sister murmured quietly, "Ashton isn't cooperating, so there's no way I can get pregnant." Surprised, I asked her what was wrong, and it turned out that since Lisa turned 2 years old, there had been no opportunity at all to have a child. Moreover, my brother-in-law apparently was increasingly absent from home, and there were frequent instances of him coming back with the smell of perfume in the morning. And yet, he says it's my fault we can't have children. Apparently, Ashton, using himself as an excuse, complained to his parents. "It's Janet's fault. I'm trying hard." It was said that he was saying such things. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? Feeling furious, I went to confront my brother-in-law, but my sister said, "Stop that. Let me try a little harder for Lisa's sake." So I had to stop, respecting her feelings and not interfering with the couple. Still, I was worried about my sister, so I kept in touch frequently to check on her condition, but it seemed that my brother-in-law's attitude was getting worse. He seemed to be completely indifferent to his only daughter Lisa, and my niece had closed her heart to her father and always put on a tense expression in front of Ashton. Poor thing. She seemed so happy back then. The real niece is a cheerful child, and when she, my sister, Lisa, my boyfriend Bob, and I went to an amusement park together before, she showed an innocent smile. Even Bob said,
"Lisa, She smiles so cutely.
She was that lovely. Moreover, it seems that my brother-in-law is apparently cheating, and he often stays out overnight as if it were a matter of course, and there are times when he doesn't even contact them. Sis, that's definitely not right. Maybe you should consider divorce? I'm working too, so I'll support you. Unable to bear it, I made such a proposal, but my sister said, yeah, maybe. But still hesitating. It's not that simple, is it? But considering divorce, it might be better to gather some evidence, right? At that time, I conveyed that and hung up the phone. After that, I was entrusted with a big project at work, and suddenly became busy. In fact, if I could make the project successful, a raise was certain, and I could also support my sister financially. Huh? My sister called. I have to call her back later. I realized this after finishing a meeting at work. However, even after that, I was too busy with work and couldn't call her back, and there was no call from my sister either. Darn it. I fell asleep. I wonder if my sister is okay. Even after returning home, I was tired, and in the end, I couldn't call her back, and morning came. Until then, I had mostly been the one to contact her, so my sister's call was rare and I was curious, but I rushed to work and greeted lunchtime. When I hurriedly took out my phone to call my sister back, I noticed an incoming call from my brother-in-law this time. Huh? This is the first time my brother-in-law has called. This is strange. What happened? Feeling uneasy, I immediately called him back.
Actually, Janet took a large amount of sleeping pills and ended her own life.
At that moment, it felt like I had been hit on the head with a hammer. What did you just say? That's a lie. Then, what about yesterday's phone call?
Huh? Janet contacted you. Then why didn't you listen to her?
But, I've heard about you from my sister. Aren't you the one who pushed my sister to the brink? Confused by the sudden news of my sister's death and being blamed by my brother-in-law, I inadvertently retorted.
Hey, stop with the baseless accusations. Janet was just spouting nonsense.
Then, he laughed scornfully and hung up the phone. After that, I left work early and rushed to my sister's house, but my brother-in-law was still absent, perhaps at the hospital. Feeling at a loss for what to do, I received a notice of my sister's funeral sent via message, as a kind of notification from him. It seemed that there was no wake, and the family decided to hold a family funeral the next day, so I decided to attend the funeral alone to bid farewell to my beloved sister's journey to heaven. After returning to my apartment feeling gloomy, I contacted someone and told them about the series of events. That evening, I couldn't sleep due to the guilt of not answering my sister's call and not calling her back. As the night passed, I headed to the funeral hall. Since it was a family funeral, there were only my brother-in-law's parents, a few relatives, and the staff of the funeral hall present. It feels lonely somehow. I wish we could have sent her off with more flowers. I felt a pang in my heart at the sight of the modest altar, which was not suitable for my affluent brother-in-law's family, and it seemed clear how my sister was being treated. I wonder where Lisa is. She must be in shock. When I looked for my niece, she was standing alone with tearful eyes, so I tried to run to her, but...
So you came. You said some terrible things yesterday. Your seat is over here.
I was coldly treated by my brother-in-law and prevented from getting close to Lisa. And then, when the funeral was over and we were about to move to the crematorium.
It's a secret from Dad.
While my brother-in-law was talking to the staff at the funeral hall, my niece came to me and handed me a letter from my sister. I opened it quietly, and to my surprise, the words "Take my daughter and run away right now" jumped out at me. Just as I suspected. There must be something behind my sister's passing. I was surprised, but having received my sister's message, I made up my mind to escape with my niece and was waiting for the right moment. Just as I was about to leave, taking advantage of the moment when everyone was occupied, my niece and I were surrounded by relatives. What's going on? Are they all in on this? I tried to break free somehow, but it was impossible.
You're not going anywhere.
My brother-in-law even came over and whispered in my ear in a low voice. In my frozen state of fear and panic, a staff member of the funeral hall came to me.
Is everything okay?
Thank goodness for this person. Please help me. I thought so, but it was only for a moment.
Ah. It seems Janet's condition deteriorated due to the shock of losing her sister. I'll let her rest for a bit.
With a nonchalant attitude, my brother-in-law forcibly grabbed my arm and dragged me to the waiting room. Wait. Take Lisa with us. I appealed, but my niece was taken away by my brother-in-law's parents. It's regrettable that I couldn't answer my sister's last call, but Ashton's attitude was unforgivable. To avenge her grievances, I vowed to expose my brother-in-law's true nature and seek revenge at all costs.
You have no allies here. Give up.
As soon as we entered the waiting room, he said that I will never forgive you for tormenting my sister. I know all about what you did to her. Alone with my brother-in-law in the room, I was extremely uneasy, but I managed to retort.
Ha.
However, he just sneered. But that only fueled my determination even more. I'll expose your true nature to everyone.
Who would believe what you say?
My brother-in-law remained unfazed by my plea and smirked unpleasantly.
To my parents and relatives, you're the one who's blamed for pushing Janet to her death. They say she took her own life because of your hatred towards her.
How awful. Furthermore, he even asked his family to keep an eye on Lisa and make sure I didn't leave with her. So that's why everyone present at the time blocked our way. My anger towards my cowardly brother-in-law reached its peak. I won't let you have your way. I'll expose everything. I glared at him with all my anger.
You didn't answer her call either, did you? If your sister really mattered to you, shouldn't you have dropped everything and contacted her?
Well, that's... I couldn't help but falter, and my brother-in-law didn't overlook it.
Janet felt abandoned even by her trusted sister. Wasn't it your actions that ultimately pushed her to the brink? Maybe she departed for the other world because of that.
I was pointed out about something that had been bothering me all along, and I lost my words in response.
Oh. What happened to your confidence from earlier? Hit a nerve, did I?
Approaching me step by step, my brother-in-law confronted me as if a lion cornering a rabbit. At that moment, I felt like I heard my sister's voice saying, "Serena, don't give up. My sister was aware of your affair, and she was preparing for divorce, gathering evidence and all. A person like her wouldn't take her own life willingly."
Oh. Where's the evidence then?
My brave plea, inspired by my sister, did not faze my brother-in-law. Evidence? I don't know where it is, But it's in the letter. Oh no. I accidentally mentioned the letter that my niece had told me to keep a secret.
A letter? Hey, where is it?
Perhaps feeling guilty, my brother-in-law, with a slightly surprised expression, approached me. Realizing there was no turning back, I showed him the letter my niece had given me. You may not know, but this is a letter from my sister that Lisa just gave me. I read out parts of the letter and revealed its contents. It detailed my brother-in-law's cruel treatment and my sister's suffering, following the instruction to take my daughter and run away right now. She had written the letter, fearing for her safety in case I couldn't answer her call. And she had entrusted it to my niece.
Damn it. She should have just gone quietly. But she had to meddle.
My brother-in-law muttered with annoyance. What do you think will happen if I show this to everyone? Maybe I'll sell it to a magazine.
Hey, hand that over.
Ashton, now red-faced with anger and frustration, approached me. There is no way I will hand it over to you. I hugged the letter from my dear sister tightly.
You're soon going to join your sister in the afterlife anyway. Like the good sisters you are, I'll make you drink the same medicine I gave Janet.
In a desperate situation, my brother-in-law finally revealed his true intentions. Your actions caused my sister's death, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right. I have a young and beautiful mistress who's pregnant. Janet was in the way of me marrying her.
I was on the verge of losing control due to Ashton's selfish excuses. Then why didn't you just divorce my sister? Give her back. I screamed in a voice close to a sob.
I don't want to pay alimony, and besides, divorce would look bad.
I'll make you suffer just like my sister, or even worse.
Ha! It's too late for that. If you want, I can send you to join her now.
Approaching me step by step as if to corner me, my brother-in-law said, Please. Help me. I closed my eyes tightly, silently praying for help. At that moment, we heard a knock on the door.
How are you feeling now? I brought some warm tea.
It was the voice of the funeral staff from earlier. Ashton, trying not to arouse suspicion, quickly opened the door and let him in.
If you say anything unnecessary, I won't guarantee Lisa's safety.
As my brother-in-law whispered, I desperately looked at the staff member as if seeking help.
Thank you. She is fine now.
Ashton tried to hurry him out of the waiting room. However, the person who was being pushed out with his back suddenly turned around and faced my brother-in-law.
What?
Surprised, Ashton widened his eyes. Ashton, this person is actually a police officer disguised as a funeral staff. It's strange for my sister to suddenly pass away like this. I had asked the police to keep an eye on you. Then, my brother-in-law turned pale rapidly.
I don't know anything. As a doctor, I guarantee it. Janet took her own life.
Even at this point, he was trying to play dumb. Just give it up already. I have all our conversations recorded. Didn't you admit earlier that you gave my sister the medicine? My brother-in-law, who had been confident until now, suddenly started pleading with me.
I messed up. I'll pay you hush money, just keep Janet's situation confidential.
Cut it out. No amount of money will bring my sister back. At least admit your mistakes and face the consequences. I firmly rejected Ashton's plea. Then, next to me.
I've heard the situation from Serena. We'll talk at the station.
The police officer, who turned out to be Bob, my partner, informed my brother-in-law and nodded at me. In fact, I had contacted him immediately after hearing the news of my sister's passing from my brother-in-law, asking for support. Deciding to attend the funeral where Ashton, whom I didn't even want to see, was present to bid my sister farewell. But inwardly, I was filled with grief for my beloved sister's loss, as well as fear and anger towards my brother-in-law. However, because I believed that Bob would help me no matter what, I was able to confront my brother-in-law. After that, whether he resigned himself or not, Ashton, who weakly gave up, left the funeral home with Bob, the police officer. Including my brother-in-law's parents who were present, all the relatives were stunned, only worried about avoiding scandal. There wasn't a single person concerned about Ashton. When I found Lisa looking anxious and ran over to her, she hugged me as if relieved. And then, with my niece, I left the funeral home after receiving my sister's ashes. Later on, my brother-in-law's guilt was proven, and he ended up behind bars. My niece was taken into my care, and I claimed $100,000 in child support for Lisa and $200,000 in compensation for my sister's life. The reputation of Ashton's family's hospital, being a family of doctors, suffered greatly from the rumors of their wrongdoing, and their business declined rapidly. My brother-in-law was abandoned by both his family and his mistress, and it seems no one came to visit him. While my niece initially struggled with the shock and instability, she has been smiling more often lately. As for me, my relationship with the police officer who helped me in this ordeal is going smoothly, and I'm starting to think positively about marriage. He also cares for my niece, so I hope that in the near future, the three of us can live together happily. How did you find this story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.